All right. I'll try to get over here. Greetings, everybody. I don't know, is anybody out there? This is always interesting. Hang on, let me type something on the keyboard. I'm live. I did this spontaneously. It's going to be really silly if I'm live and I'm the only one live. Hi, gang. I am live. Ask me anything. I'm just going to kind of hang out. Hey, Casper. What's up, man? So I've got a camera over here, a separate cam. And so when I'm looking here, you're going to feel as though I'm looking you in the eye. But the screen is over here. And I did that because I did a sort of a mini setup, obviously, so you could see my hands a little better. And I've got a cat, a brand new cat named Barney on the desk. And he's, always tipping the Imac, the brand new Imac. Casper, hey, Ivan, what's happening, man? How you guys doing? Joe Jessen in the house. Man, we went to high school together. All right, man. Joe, what's happening? All right. Duffy, amen. All right. He's one of my Study with Adam students. All right, Duffy, good to see you. Yeah, I just decided to sort of do this spontaneously. I'll be really honest. Of course, I want to be of service. But if you're a fingerstyle guitarist or sort of any guitarist and you're putting stuff up, oh, there's the cat. Come on, cat. Come on, cat. Don't knock stuff over. You can kind of see him there. Everybody says you got to just keep uploading to YouTube. You got to upload. And like, man, it takes a long time to get a new arrangement together and practice it and produce it. And so I figured, come on, kitty. So I figured, let me be in touch with you and kind of communicate, but I don't have a new arrangement anyhow. All right. Hey, Joff. Defy. Hey, thank you. Raffaele. Hey, man. Jose with two E's. Moise. Hey, guys. All right. So if there's any sort of question that I can answer for you, maybe you've got a musical question. Maybe you don't. Maybe you just want to say hi. Lay it on me. And so I'm here for you right now. And I'm planning on making this about 30, 35 minutes simply because nobody wants to watch a 2-hour playback. And I'd rather do this more often than have them be shorter than do these epic ones, because I saw I did a really epic one like 2 years ago. Okay. I wish. Coda. Raffaele. Okay. Raffaele is asking about I Wish, which I haven't played in a long time. Now, I just wanted to do that to show you that I really can play it. But I haven't played that one in ages. I sort of put that off to the side. I'd have to look at that coda, the bam, 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 bam. Well, muscle memory is an amazing thing. I haven't played that in years. The reason that I put that one aside is it was sort of my version 1 arrangements where I mapped out the absolutely hardest stuff to play. And it started just sounding more like an exercise rather really than music. So I just, Superstition kind of became the one that I play live. And just pay attention to the outer voices first. And really, this is what I would do. I'm sort of giving you my medicine. Practice it really slow, but with a groove. So like not slow with a metronome, but like first you have to perceive bang, 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 bang. And then just put your attention on the outer voices. Don't worry about any of these sixth intervals. So just Let me go even slower. That's even too fast. I'm just doing it because I'm nervous because I feel like everybody's watching me now. But slow it way down. I'm doing that kind of like a swing, just to help me get it slower. So I hope maybe that shows you all how I might go back and reawaken a difficult piece. I'm trying to make sure that I'm in the center of the camera. All right, let's see what else. Sergio Chillat, hey man, how you doing? Oops, sorry, I screamed in everybody's ear. Samal, how do you approach music theory and guitar when you became aware of it? How do you incorporate it into your practicing and in your playing? I'm going to try to get to all of these. I'm going to give short answers. You know, if all you do is sort of look at the guitar neck, you only play the guitar. Music theory seems like this foreign language. But if you play even the littlest bit, if you get a keyboard and start to just learn some chords, maybe a scale, you will start to get an idea of where music theory comes from. And so music theory is a language that I speak. And I really, I'm going to move this a little bit. I needed it playing jazz. I play piano, not like a pro piano player, but like a musician who explores on the piano. I can play a few jazz chords, and I noodle on some bluesy jazz stuff, and I can play some really simple classical kiddie pieces with mistakes. But it's really critical to know the language, I think, because for me, I don't try to overdo what I do with speed and chops and things that are sort of these tactile guitar things. I sort of want there to be what I feel is a deeper message of the music, and that comes out naturally when you have more understanding of the music. And I'm not putting down anybody who plays fast, but I'm saying, for example, like heavy metal, flamenco, a lot of things are based on just the energy that can come up on the guitar, which is a very physical approach. The main thing that music theory would have to offer you, and you could take a harmony class somewhere and be really open to it, is the idea of what's called voice leading. It's very, very important because it makes music sound beautiful. And it's been around since like the Baroque and Renaissance. I mean, it's nothing new, or even medieval music. And so something like this, watch. I'm trying to think of a piece where I use voice leading. Watch, if I play an E minor 7 chord like this, and then it goes, so listen to it's 4 notes, and then it goes to an A7 chord. Each note is accounted for. One note stays, one note moves, one note stays, one note moves. So I'm hearing that like a 4-voice choir, and I just think like that. Okay, and so now you can add to that if you want. But this structure is sort of at the basis of what I'm thinking, even if I'm adding some extra notes. And it just makes for things to be beautiful. And what I suggest, listen to Bach. Just fire up Bach Chorale, Chorale, and listen to something on YouTube, short, and you'll hear how beautiful it is. And it's really, um, it's very basic stuff, but there's rules about how chords can move. And that way you're not just going like with these disconnected guitar chords, which so many of us do. Okay, I'm gonna move on a little bit. Joel, hey Joel, thank you, thank you. Happy I'm inspiring you, and I'm planning on doing these live things more. I gotta do it now that I'm in the studio. Um, can you cover the way you've changed your right hand technique these last 3 years? Yeah, I'm afraid I could go down that rabbit hole if you want. Um, Let me just scan the other questions. I'll come back to that, and I'll try to be very brief with that. Matthew, amen. Matthew's there. Moise. All right. I know I'm not calling out everybody's name. Samal. Okay. Advice for a beginner intermediate player to approach the theory and playing and gaining knowledge. I would recommend across the board for everybody. I know this is going to sound like a stretch, but get a keyboard. It'll, and just learn how to play like maybe the chords, simple stuff. Just sit there with it, because eventually, when you say, how do I understand theory? I'll give you one more example. I'm going to be really brief, and then I'm going to talk about the technical thing. If you play a C minor chord on the guitar, you think shape. That's sort of like this caveman way to do it, and we all do it, and that's how we learned. We got started, just bar chords, right? If you're on a piano, you have to know that the notes are C, E flat, and G. Whereas on the guitar, you have to do this extra mental exercise. And you think, oh man, it's this extra thing I need to learn. But on the piano, it's built in. If you're like, man, I need a C minor triad, it's not going to sound right. And it shows you see what notes you're playing all the time. So you're going to get a sense of what notes and what chords go together. So I don't want to overcomplicate this the way many jazz teachers overcomplicate and lay so much on you. So that's the difference. You can just do this on a guitar. This is B minor, C minor. You just keep going up, and you don't really have to know what those notes are. On a piano, you do. And so even if you were to go to a local music school, say, I'm just a beginner, I want to take some basic piano lessons. You might be confronted with learning how to read music, but it'll really help, I promise. Okay. Okay, great. Yeah. Can I do some Radiohead songs? I'm not really a Radiohead fan. My skin is so smooth. Yeah. Thank you. I've chewed my students' ear off about this stuff with right hand technique, and it's something that I've really messed with a lot over the last years, and I want to clear some stuff up, especially if you've been watching some of my other videos. I'm going to play just a minute and I got it positioned here. You can see it pretty good. I'm going to play a couple excerpts. I'm going to play a little bit of Masquinata, which is a warm-up piece, and I always play that first in concerts. And I'm going to play a little bit of Isn't She Lovely for you, and maybe I'll play a little bit of Superstition just so you can see what's going on. I got no nails, no picks. It's like a bass player. It's just all thumpy, fleshy fingers, and I don't know how it's going to sound. I hope it sounds okay. So here's just a little bit of what Masquinata looks and sounds like. Okay, a 1, a 2, chicka bang bang, chicka chicka boom. That's the intro. Okay, so on and so forth. Okay, and then Isn't She Lovely? You're going to see it's similar. I'm doing a lot of strumming. Okay, a bang, ching, a ding, a ching, a 1, 2, get ready, and. And then I'll do a little bit of superstition just so you can watch, okay? Try to get that better. Okay, so there's a little bit of, oops, sorry, I hit the mic. A little bit of that. So now, this is the most important thing I'm going to say. So everybody here, listen up. I don't want you to make the same mistakes I've made. What I want you to do is stick with what feels good to you. Don't do something because Adam or Tommy Emmanuel or Gareth Pearson or Chet Atkins or whoever, don't do something because somebody else is doing it. Okay. Like there are a lot of companies that made mistakes because they just saw another company doing something. So they thought they had to do the same thing. So I have every day, including up till yesterday and probably today, I try to mess with a thumb pick. Okay. And I started that way. And I started with 12 years ago, Fingerstyle, saying, I'm going to do it the way Tommy does it because I love his playing. We all do. And I said, I'm going to do it sort of on a steel string, no fingernails and a thumb pick. And I just decided that. And then there's many different ways I could say this, but and while I think some of the videos I did, I really like the sound. I really like the sound. It felt like the most scratchy, wobbly, unreliable thing for me. I just don't have it wired in my system. And I think it's really unfair for anybody to say, just put it on, you'll get used to it. No, there comes a point when you're a grown up and you're no longer a teenager, we are kind of wired for certain things, and it's really hard to get new physical wiring. Okay, so my thing is stay with what feels right and just build from there based on musical knowledge, because the more you understand music, it'll guide the sound. Okay, so with the thumb pick, and I even have a pick here. I was a flat pick. I used to be a killer jazz flat picker guy, and the chops, I just haven't worked on those chops at all. And I'm not saying that egotistically. I'm saying that's all I used to do is, this kind of thing. I found that playing through PA systems and playing live, I would feel so nervous, and I would, these sound checks, my sound checks would be like this thing where I just had them put so much extra bass on so that I could, if I managed to get the string, that I could pluck it and have the bass speakers really sound like there was bass there. And so that's part of it. And when I played jazz with groups, this is very hard to convey on YouTube, but like I played professionally for like 20 years before even the first YouTube video 12 years ago. So like there was a lot of thought processes that I had to go through like leading up to this. And when I played with groups, I tried every single way of comping, not soloing, but comping. And if I really wanted to get in the pocket with a drummer, it eventually got to this kind of Wes Montgomery strumming, which I discussed in one of my students from Study with Adam named Duffy is here. We discussed this in his last lesson. And so this has been a part of me. And it was when I had to, it was just a G blues, right? And Wes would play octaves like this. That sort of there's a perfection to the way that sits, which it's opinion and it's everybody has different taste. I'm not saying it's the best sound, meaning there's lovely, brilliant guitar sounds like guys who play like nylon string with nails. Like there's so many ways to get a tone out of a guitar, but the jazz sitting in the pocket kind of tone, the only way I could get it was that. There is, sorry, I'm licking my fingers. There is a sort of rhythm guitar way you could do it. You can go, and you might think that sounds good, but the melody note kind of disappears. And there's like a 1/10,000th of a second. It's not right in the pocket. It's not right in the pocket. So, and then for bass, I don't have a thumb pick here, and I don't even want to embarrass myself trying to do it. For things like walking bass lines, so, I could not get that sort of fatness with a sustained note in the bass. And so this was really for musical reasons that I did this, and also that so that I can play my thing in a repeatable way, meaning repeatable, meaning that I could pick up the guitar now and just play Misty. I didn't do any big warm up. Whereas when I played with a thumb pick, felt like I was constantly missing and not being accurate because I didn't grow up with it. I'm not wired. I'm not wired for that. So now let me talk about the technical thing, because a lot of people who are seeing the videos on YouTube and maybe some of my students, it looks like I'm like bending into some uncomfortable position, and that's not happening. It was happening when I started this technique. And you can see in some of the videos, the sound isn't quite there. And I was still struggling with how do I place the hand and all that. I can see over the last couple of years, it was like, there were some videos that weren't great, but then it started coming together, and it's coming together slowly. So the first thing is, I hope this isn't boring everybody. I'm not looking at the text as it's rolling by. I saw a violin bowing video that was really cool. And this woman was saying there's two different versions of a relaxed hand. One is this, look at my right hand, if you let your hand hang. But then if you turn it, you see how all the fingers curl? Both are relaxed. So when you see bass players, they're going. You see bass players playing like that. And then, if the other version of relaxed is like when its wrist is more turned and the fingers are curled in kind of a ready position, almost like a basketball player, that's like what you're doing with your left hand. So basically what's happening is if I let my thumb completely hang, absolutely not using any strength. I put it on the string. I'm looking at the screen to make sure. And I just let it. Oh, that was a little extreme. I don't do that. Now, of course, the question is we want that to cut through enough and be clear enough. And I wish I could have some more excitement on that sound. Now, I trained classical. So, I mean, I trained like this. So this kind of thing is just, I could do that, but I can never seem to get enough sound out of the fingers. So this, I was trying for a little while to play like this in a way that like all the classical guitar teachers would say, yeah, that's right. But then I went to more of a thing like this, where it's like more like what a lot of lute players do this. And the reason is it gave me a high degree of accuracy on the middle strings. It might look unconventional, but now, so I'm going to play Imagine. This was a piece I literally struggled with this live, even though I did the video. It sounds good, everything, it looks cool, but like this made me very nervous. And now that I do, probably should have practiced it before I came on. You see that right there? I can have that ring and not crash into it, not crash into the open B string. It's not exactly in tune. So that the position is that helps me with the accuracy. I'm also getting a fatter sound and I'm keeping that loose. But sometimes it looks a little bit like this, when you see it, and it can look, because I'm a pretty lanky guy, it can look like the wrist is way out. So nothing should bend overly in any direction. But if it's like a comfortable position like there, I'm just hanging, totally hanging. So like I said, don't change anything because Adam's doing it. There's deep musical reasons why this feels right to me, and years of wiring. So just roll with what you're doing, but listen. Is that the sound I want? Record it, listen back, say, is that the right sound? Does it feel right? And you'll find your own way. Also, another thing about this position, a lot of people think I play really light, and I mean, I am really popping the strings, but the attack is so mellow, I get kind of a better sound than if I do it like that. Even though that looks right, that looks like right for guitar school, that's really what works when I'm out there live. Okay, so I'm gonna look at some other comments here. Oh, hang on. Vera, hey. Wow, okay. I can't address everybody. If I don't say your name, please forgive me. Suzanne, hey. Sorry, I'm talking up close to the mic. Hey, Vera. Vera Stackenberg, we have a video where we played Superstition years ago. I'm glad to see you. You're exploring the world of jazz improvisation. Could you give a few tips for homework? I guess this is a sort of ask me anything kind of thing. Yes, I'm going to. I'm going to give a quick, I'll give everybody a quick jazz tip. There's this world of jazz where, especially on YouTube, where it becomes this totally, it loses the link to the blues and to swinging, to the groove. So you can't go wrong by getting good at playing the blues. So Vera, I would say learn how to play a medium blues and put it in the pocket. And don't worry about all this like scales and lines and modes. I mean, I know all that stuff, but if you, at least when I was coming up, if you had to go to 125th Street in Harlem and sit in with an organ group, number one was, can you play the blues and can you swing? And that's part of my musical DNA. So let me go back to the blues that I was playing before. And I suggest check out Wes Montgomery, check out Oscar Peterson, check out Lonnie Smith. That's a guy that I played with. And just, don't get too much into that world of like, and this is going to rub a lot of people the wrong way when I say this. There's this sort of other like jazz improvisation world of like this overly complicated stuff, like or ethereal kind of stuff, maybe a little bit more like the Keith Jarrett, Pat Metheny, Michael Brecker, all that stuff. Those guys are amazing, but the way I went is more like play the blues, build from there. Okay, so your first thing is you want to be able to go. Let me start again. Now I'm going to get away from the chords in a minute. Now I'm playing with my fingers. I know it's an acoustic guitar. It's not super clean, all that, but like the spirit of that. And then from there, you can take that groove, like that's going to like ground you. You have to know where that ground is under your feet. This is a 5-minute lesson. Then play Autumn Leaves with that groove. Play all the things you are with that groove. So, and then lastly, when you're on chord changes, particularly Autumn Leaves, figure out how can you play the blues on chord changes. I'm just giving you the basic thing to get grounded rather than getting complicated. So when you're on the A minor D7 to G major 7, you can just play G blues. And then when you're on this, you're in E minor blues. Blue so I'm a terrible singer, but I just only sang blues stuff. So I took that flow and that pocket and put it on a tune with changes. Start there. Then after there, you can get into lines on the changes. But if you're not grounded, you're going to be all up in your head and confused, and it's going to not feel right or sound right. Okay. So let's look here. Roberto Colombo. One question. What's the suggestion to minimize mistakes during a performance? This is good. And we're going to stop kind of soon. I might not get to everybody's question. I feel really sorry about that. Maybe I'll look at the transcript and see if there's a way I can type some comments because I don't want to make this too long. Roberto asks a great question. What is my suggestion to minimize mistakes during a performance? Okay. Let me tell you, man, I really sweat it. And this goes for everybody. When I was telling you that I was kind of sweating it with the thumb pick and the technique and certain things. It was like, oh my God, this thing's coming up and am I going to blow it? And when you are practicing, mistakes are sort of like little aches and pains. Mistakes tell you there's a problem somewhere. Okay. So I would suggest recording yourself. I use my, oops, sorry. I use my phone all the time for just my iPhone, the voice memo app. I don't listen so much for mistakes anymore, but I listen for in that little mic, am I hearing all the registers of the guitar? But the point is, you could do this with mistakes too. If you are playing something where you are making a mistake, you may need to investigate a different fingering. Okay. For example, when I play with my pinky on the G string, I don't know if we'll hear it through, I'm half plugged in and half mic'd. When I play with my pinky, you hear that little string noise? Because the finger is kind of springing back that direction. We could call that a mistake. And I find that when I use my third finger, it lifts directly off. So when I'm preparing for a recording, that's a sound. I go, what's making that sound? So if I change the finger, that sound goes away. Same is true for reliability. Based on how you play, based on your comfort zone, you're going to find what's totally reliable and what you can do night after night. So you have to practice a piece a lot and try different things. For example, the intro to Mas Que Nada. I want that groove to really, really rock. And like anybody playing, if you want to go with an E minor chord, your first instinct might be to do it down here, right? But this finger is kind of a powerful, reliable, but not so as precise as I'd like. So it was easier for me to stay on the sixth string and not switch strings and do an E minor six and go. So that's a lot more reliable for me than. So explore for yourself where the mistake is, what happened. Maybe I can use a different finger. Maybe I can mute a string. Okay. I do a lot of string muting. Particularly that'll become an issue if you play live and your guitar is plugged in. Let me give you the Imagine example again. So there's some stuff that you don't see. So when I'm going, that's the melody, right? Look at these fingers. They're on the top two strings. I'm keeping those silent. This guy is still on the high E string because I don't want that extra note. So you start to get a sense of, wow, I'm responsible for all the sounds. How can I get rid of this mistake? How can I change a fingering? Because maybe it's not that you need to practice something 10,000 times. You might need to switch the finger. And then also, very important, another thing I find myself telling my online students a lot is the better picture you have of the music, meaning melody. I say this over and over again. There's a melody, there's a bass, and there's something in the middle. Then you don't have to play somebody else's version of an arrangement note for note because you understand the principle. You say, man, the only thing that's important is that melody gets out there. Okay. Now each finger on the right hand has a different sound. And I find sometimes things can ring better if I just use my index and ring finger, you know, and not use the middle finger. The middle finger is kind of a weird finger, you know, it's for me. But I use them all. Even when I'm strumming this chord, it's very carefree, but I'm muting over here. See? So you have to record yourself, and you will address those sounds. And I'm still working out. I'm still working out little unreliable things, but you want to have fingerings that you can wake up out of a dead sleep and uh, and they just work. They just function, just sort of the way standing up out of bed hopefully functions. All right, I'm going to wrap it up soon. Let me see if I hope that helped, Roberto, and everybody. I'm going to see if there's okay. Duffy, why the switch from classical to jazz and then from jazz to solo acoustic? I'll answer that really. I'll answer that as quickly as I can. Like many guitar players who played maybe when they were kids, around puberty time, 12, I became interested in rock and roll and I got an electric guitar. And I sort of did everything I could do because there was no YouTube. I did everything I could do based on listening to records and looking at magazines until about age 15. And then I really felt, wow, I want to become a better guitar player. And I asked around several people. I said, should I study classical or should I study jazz? And the circle of people that were around me said, study classical because you'll be able to play anything after that, which is not necessarily the case, but that's the way I went. So I learned how to read music. I learned how to get my left hand like this instead of like this. And, you know, when I played classical, I used a footstool and I learned how to, I never became a great classical player like speed and competitions and concerts and all that. But I learned how to get a pretty decent sound. I mean, I couldn't stand having to rely on fingernails. And then I went to college. And, you know, I find that in my life, I have these big swings of being very introverted with music and then being extroverted again. I'm kind of going through an introverted swing right now, again, which is kind of interesting and a whole other topic. Uh, so classical and learning music and everything, that was like very deep experience. And then I actually was in a hip hop R&B band. I was a rapper, believe it or not. And that was my going to entertain the audience. And the guitar playing was just something I kind of kept quiet. People didn't see that for a couple years in college, but I was this performer. And then, you know, I kept seeing jazz people saying, gosh, they know something that I don't. What is it that they know? And I liked that it was this harmonic complexity and melodic complexity and interesting rhythm, but it still had this basis in the blues and good feeling stuff. And so that's when I started my journey studying with my beloved teacher, Mike Longo, piano player for Dizzy Gillespie. And so that was then, I would say, sort of an introverted way, even though I had to play with a lot of other musicians and go to jam sessions and tried to go on tour, but that was sort of all music, meaning this is going to sound silly when I say this, but the music for me meant more than the music for the audience at that point. And I wanted to reach a wider audience. I just felt, you know, I got that urge to be more extroverted again. And like many of us, I didn't know how that would be possible with one guitar. And then I discovered Tommy Emmanuel in like 2007. And he wasn't as big as he was. He was still playing some small clubs. He was on his way up with his solo guitar thing. But I mean, I saw him in New York playing for like 150 people. And it was killer. You know, I mean, it was killer and it was inspiring. And I sort of said, you know, that format of the one man show I would like to do. And I watched how he crafted these arrangements, but also played pop and, the things we take for granted, where we just think of fingerstyle guitar. Oh yeah. It's like there was no one man power show like his that I was aware of. There were, great players like Leo Kottke and all sorts of players, but he like took this whole like show thing to another level. And I said, wow, I want to do that. And it was clear to me at the time, I'm not a country guy. I'm going to do it with like R&B tunes. Now I've, made myself crazy trying to learn Chet Atkins stuff for like the last couple of years, and I'm just not wired for it. So I kind of knew right in the beginning that I wanted to reach people. And the beginning was, YouTube and the Stevie Wonder tunes. And now I'm kind of looking at jazz tunes again and listening to guys like Errol Garner and trying to see if I can do more interesting things, whatever that means on the guitar. I'm still not sure what that means. I'm a little less concerned with the show these days. I kind of want to find some more stuff musically. I've even been practicing a little bit. I've been practicing. It's not exactly right without a thumb pick, and I've been practicing. A little bit of classical stuff, just searching and playing a lot of piano. Okay. Oh, Rex, you're in quarantine. Oh man, well, you get some time to practice. Don't over practice. I'm almost in quarantine. I'm coming to you from Austria, and it's pretty thick here. Hey, guitar man, how do I practice all the rhythms for the songs? And if I could have a tip to learn it easier, you're studying Billie Jean and you have a problem with the rhythm. Guitar man, okay. I know I've skipped over a lot of questions. I'm going to get to you, guitar man, and then we're going to sign off soon. Matthew, I've been seeing, I scanned some of the questions. Matthew, I did see Dave Frank, some videos. I think he's very good. Let me just, hey, Curtis Thorpe is there. Let me see. Dave, what mic am I using? I'm doing quick questions, then I'm going to get to your rhythm thing, and we're going to definitely cut off before the hour. So I just want you to know, in case you're thinking of, don't sign off just yet. It's 48 after the hour. I'm going to cut off in like 11 minutes or 12 minutes, and we're going to call it a night, but I'm going to come back and do these more often. This is just an Octava condenser mic, and I figured out how to go into my recording interface. So you're getting a little bit of the plugged in guitar, and you're getting the guitar through the mic a little bit. So I had to kind of sort that out. All right. Yes, Matthew, the Fred Kelly thumb picks are good. Okay. Dave. Hey, Dave. What's my opinion on silk and steel strings? My dad has them on his guitar, silk and steel strings, and I really like them. I really, really like them because he doesn't play very much. He feels his hands aren't that strong. He wants it to feel easier. Yo hoy. How much time on average do I spend on practicing a new tune until it's ready for recording? Well, recording, that's a whole other thing. Meaning a CD, or I don't even know if CDs exist, Spotify or whatever. I haven't done that in a while. When I come up with a new arrangement to do for YouTube, and I haven't been coming up with that many. I'd like to come up with more, but I can't speed up creativity. The last one I did was the Daft Punk, I Feel It Coming, sort of more modern pop tune. I got the basic gist of it at once, meaning like in a day. And or that feeling of, wow, I'm kind of onto something. But what I did was I waited about a week to put it up because I know that little things, little subtle things will reveal themselves over the course of time. I'm where is it? 3rd fret. For example, I don't know if I'll ever do a lesson on it. If you look at everybody's YouTube video, they pluck this. They pluck all these. They go, or they, da ba da ba da. And then I said, wait a minute, that doesn't feel right. And I went, so putting a hammer there and the little click. That gave it that whole little flow thing. And that didn't reveal itself, I think, until the 2nd or 3rd day. So I leave time to let it settle. Same with Shadow Your Smile. I was like, I got the idea. And also, you want to practice it enough so you're not having to think in front of the camera. So I'd say about a week. The Doobie Brothers, What a Fool Believes, that's a really tricky arrangement. I need to practice that. I haven't practiced that one. Guitar Man, the rhythms for the songs. Okay. What I want to show everybody, this might be the last thing we do here. I'll try to make it quick. I was messing with Billie Jean before I got on live because I haven't been practicing it here at home. This went through a lot of different phases. Okay. And the video that kind of went viral, the 2008, it's very plucky. I'm trying to kind of pluck everything and then also force these hammers. And it had some fire and it had some soul to it. And, but it's still, it still evolved a lot. And so when you say, let me look at your question, how to practice all the rhythms. Well, I don't practice the rhythms, but what I do is, as a general rule, with my arm, I try, this is like the flow. Even if, don't worry about the click. It's almost better if there's no click, but this, okay, that's one thing. And if you feel yourself leave that flow, now you can, but if you have to perceive you're in a flow, and I'll give it to you all at once. Everybody, I'm going to give you the answer. I'm going to give you a bit or a big answer right now, at least an answer for me. On that 2 and 4, you'll feel it might feel funny if you pluck on the 2 and 4. 2, 3, 4. It's still in time, but if you can, the backs of your fingers are legal. Your thumb is legal. So if you can go, you hear the sound and the pocket that makes? It's different from, that's still okay. And if you're playing with a bassist and drummer, they're covering the groove part, so this will sound fine. But if you're playing all by yourself and you have to convey the flow a little bit more, and it's not the backs of the fingers, it's the fact that your body is in a flow. So I always think of this. I always think of that. The cat might get in the screen. I always think of that like if I was salsa dancing. Come on, kitty. Come on. I always think of that as if it was a salsa dancer putting the wrong foot down at the wrong time. So you can use, watch this. I'm using my thumb, a la Wes Montgomery, and muting. You can use your thumb on a melody note to keep the hand in the right direction. So when I did Billie Jean the first time, here's an example. I changed the rhythm of the melody to suit my technique, which wasn't really totally cool. I went, so, Bagadea. And I became very aware of it when I did a gig in kind of a loud place in Florida one time, and people sang and then went, oh, Billie Billie Jean, and I played the note, an eighth note ahead of them because I went, and I went, wait a minute, I gotta play. Why? Why am I avoiding playing? Oh, Billie Jean is. And I said, wait a minute, there's this. It's kind of hard to pluck it because I want to keep this flow. And then I realized, say what? Play it with the back of the fingers. So, because it's on beat 2. And you notice I'm doing some hammers. So rather than get into the particular like granularity of all that, that's legal. Hammering a note like that to make the sound is legal. Strumming like that is legal. Strumming. See what I'm doing? I'm raking across all the strings to play one note. You know, I think of this like a guitar pick and this like a guitar pick. And you've got all the rhythmic tools that anybody ever needs. Here's what you don't have to do. You don't have to pluck everything like a nice, polite classical guitarist. So if you're having trouble with the rhythm, and people in workshops, when they do have trouble with the rhythm, it's because their concept is, well, I have to pluck like this. I have to be a well-behaved guitarist. And then they're leaving a whole lot of different tools out of their toolbox. So now I'm not saying you have to do this every time there's a 2 and 4, because when I go, what do I do there? Here, I get away from that for a minute just to get the bass line and the melody going. Okay, so here's the takeaway. Don't worry about playing this piece the way I play it with the exact fingerings, like it's a classical guitar, like you're just going to try to play that. But use the way like a bass player, a funk bass player, you know, uses whatever they need to use over here to get the note out. And you can be sloppy over here and with some clever muting. I mean, who would ever think, see, that's the Wes Montgomery influence. Who would ever think you could play a single note with the thumb? So when I did Mas que Nada, sometimes I go, sometimes I, okay, and you can strum too. Not everything has to be one note and string. Okay. Gustavo, amen. Can you tell a catchy gimmick, easy to play but hard to master? Ooh, I'm not sure what that means. Fruta, Hitoko, hey, you're thinking of busking in New York. Any advice? Oh, well, I think in the train stations you need a license. I don't think you can just do it. I'd be very careful about that, Hitoko. But if it's part of your journey and you got to do it, then do it. Europe is nicer for busking on the street. All righty. I'm going to sign off, everybody, because it's 59 after the hour. So let's just meet again and think of other questions. I'm going to try to do this more often. So I want to thank everybody for coming. And now I'm going to do a shameless little plug. I have some students here. Matthew, Duffy, Hitoko, Raffaella was on there. I think I said Duffy. They're students of mine over at Study with Adam. So if you want to learn my arrangements, and if you want to be able to send me videos, they send me videos, and I reply once a month with, they play for me, I play back for them, and we have a nice dialogue going. Check out studywithadam.com. It's there, and there's a free 14-day trial if you want to poke in and see what songs are there. I don't have it up on the screen now, but like all my Beatles stuff pretty much, Billie Jean is up there. Every Breath You Take is up there. Killing Me Softly is up there. So you can just grab the free trial and like look at the lessons. They're there. It's sort of like Netflix style lessons you can watch, and then we can also communicate via video over the site. So, anybody else want to give a last little woohoo shout out? All righty. And so I'm thinking, because I'm kind of once again new to this, but I'm in my studio with a brand new iMac. I might do it one time on Facebook, one time on YouTube, one time Facebook, one time YouTube. So, all righty, y'all. God bless. Anything else? Okay. Thank you so much for sticking around. I hope it wasn't too long. And if you have any comments, if you liked how this went, if you didn't like how it went, if I didn't address you because the flow of everything's here, I apologize. But if you have any comments, just send me an email. You can reach out to me anytime. And God bless. All right. So now the question is, how do I end the stream? I hit the big red button. God bless you all. And thank you so much for coming by. I'm really looking forward to the next one. All right. Take care.